visibility's pretty bad. Give her another try in the morning and hope for the best.
Although Rick and Chad's trip to the backcountry started slow, once the team hit the ground, their luck shifted.
We got some rams right on the walk up.
Very opposite side of the lake. Shooter bull moose, so.
It's only the first day, and Chad has stone sheep in his sights, while Rick crosses the lake to a mature bull moose. After coming up empty-handed early in the day, Rick and his guide Logan have been given another chance at a moose. A cow emerges from the willows, trailed by a mature bull moose. With the day fading, the team prepares to cross the lake, hoping to close the distance for Rick to get a shot with his bow.
We decided that we're gonna have to go in the boat, straight on, straight at him, kill the engine, go for the 50-yard shot.
In order for Rick to have a clean shot with his bow, the team must be within 50 yards.
It's gonna be quartered away. Perfect.
Now he's looking at us.
The bull has noticed the approaching boat. Rick and Logan must use caution as they push forward. If the moose spooks now, they will miss their chance at a shot.
How far is that shore?
88. He's going away. We're taking us further away from shore. It's gonna be too far.
I'm just trying to make him think we're not going close to him. The wind is pushing us.
Yeah. We're barely putzing though because of the wind. We're like staying still. We're just pushing in.
To make things more difficult, the wind is pushing the boat away from the moose.
We're pushing in, we're not moving this way.
While Logan and Rick struggle to move in, both the cow and the bull have become aware of the boat.
I'm gonna try and go away from them and drift back into them.
Just as Logan and Rick attempt to move away, the moose spook and begin running into the timber. Their stalk is busted. Rick and Logan head back empty-handed once again. Meanwhile, in the mountains above, Chad and Todigan make their final approach on a group of stone sheep.
$375. We're in killing range. Yeah.
375 yards is within the range of the gun, but a mature ram must be identified before a shot can be made.
There's two at the back.
Yeah.
The front one of those two. Keep your eye on him.
I see the two and there's a little one.
Yeah. The big one with him. That's him.
Which one?
Which one? The two together.
Those are at 841 on the way out.
Don't shoot.
Keeping track of a legal ram at this range is not a risk Chad and Todigan want to take. The shot is off. On the dock below, Rick and Logan discuss their own missed opportunity.
You know, I thought maybe I could just get down there and kill a motor and paddle us in. But the wind picked up and then I couldn't push against the wind.
In my mind and my heart, we're at 123 yards at my closest range. that's a dead bull with a gun. You know, I mean, especially that Gunworks gun. I mean, that's a dead bull in my mind, and I know I can do that. But the challenge is for us to come out here to motivate, to inspire, and say, hey, we can overcome a bigger obstacle, and we're going to go after it with a bow and do what we can, you know, for as long as we can with the bow. So
that's that same cow, I think, that's been here like since August. So I don't think that we spooked him out of the country. We're just gonna, we'll watch them. If they come back out, we might try another approach, but they'll be back tomorrow.
This segment has been brought to you by Buck Knives, Edge of a Legend.
So I'd encourage everybody to go on the Gunworks site, and they have a rifle builder tool on there where you can go in and build your own rifle and customize it how you like it. The different options, different colors. You know, you can add the bipod, you can add the rangefinders, you can buy the whole package at once. But the big thing is you can go on there and completely build the rifle just like you like it. This just so happens to be the one that I like. It's kind of their Mountain X version. It's a magnet stock, fluted barrel in the 7 LRM, which is the Gunworks cartridge.
Gunworks, 1,000 yards out of the box. Chad and Todigan have missed another opportunity at the stone sheep they have been stalking. As the sheep wander up the mountain, the team determines their next step.
Kind of looked like it was going to be picture perfect there for a bit.
My guide screwed me up. I had the trigger, my finger on the trigger lined up on a big ram.
It wasn't legal. I saw those three. There was the one that was bedded, and then there was a slightly bigger one to the left and then the small one to the right, and that's the only three I could see. And then that big one on the left there turned and started looking up the hill, and I don't know what caused him to look up here. He must have got a stray whiff of something.
Reason the wind just swirling, it's coming behind my back.
And those,
I think the clouds are moving this way, but the wind's been moving this way.
those four other rams were just tucked in a little bit tighter, and he started to leave, and then the other one started running, so like they didn't see us. They didn't know it had to be a stray whiff of wind, and then they all just took off, and they're too far by the time I could figure out which was definitely the big one to get a shot. So Rams won, Todigan none. They're probably going to go into that basin there, and we'll see if we can pick them up in the morning.
As the first day of hunting comes to an end, Todigan and Chad head back down to tent camp. Upon arrival, Chad takes in the campsite and surveys the surrounding mountains.
We just made it to our tent camp. I won't call it spike camp because we're going to be actually spiking it tomorrow when we take our backpacking tents. Todigan and Anthony are leading the horses up right now. We beat them walking, and it's pretty rustic. It's just some A-frame outfitter tents, and you're sleeping on the dirt floor. So no luxuries here. You're gonna be doing it old school.
Todigan leads the pack string into camp and begins to unload while the crew hurries to set up under the fading light. While both Chad and Rick left day one empty-handed, spirits remain high as a new day begins.
Getting out in the morning today, the fact that we're getting out early into these meadows before the moose start coming out, it'll be cold and they should be a little bit more vocal and also responding to a few of our calls, hopefully. If not, we'll make it happen, but trying to make it happen with archery equipment and getting the old Matthews dialed in on one would be a dream come true. So we're gonna be out. We're gonna take the boat across the lake again and pretty much stay out all afternoon. We know we've got some of the most incredible moose meadows, and each and every day that cow's been out there either by herself, and then yesterday she brought in a big bull, so that's what we're hoping for today again.
Rick ventures across the lake in search of moose, while Chad and Todigan gear up for a day of climbing as the search for stone sheep continues.
Should be pretty easy going for the morning. We got a beaten horse trail up to the saddle. So we're gonna follow the horse trail up to the saddle, and then we gotta little bit of a grunt to get on top. And once we're on top, we'll just follow the ridge until we pick up those rams again.
How high we got to camp?
We're gonna camp on top. We're gonna find a little saddle, little pocket that's out of the wind. We'll set up there, we'll pack our water up. Probably gonna spend 2 or 3 days up on that side, and if we don't find them, we'll move one ridge over and do the same thing again.
You ready to go?
Let's do it.
Get some water.
Before Chad and Todd again embark for a day of rigorous climbing and searching, they fill up their water. The journey to the top of the mountain is not for the faint. Loose shale threatens footing, and the heavy packs demand special concentration. This segment has been brought to you by Wild Sheep Foundation. This segment is brought to you by Gunworks, 1,000 yards out of the box. At 7,200 feet, Chad and Todd again begin setting up spike camp and preparing for a storm. As the wind picks up at a raging 50 miles per hour and blinding snow begins to fall, it becomes clear that the team must put aside stone sheep and focus on survival.
Holy
In moments, the mountain has turned into a complete whiteout. While the wind violently rages over the mountain, Chad and Todd again work to build a stone wall around the base of the tent. This extra precaution will ensure that the shelter is anchored and provide much-needed insulation against the harsh elements. Thanks to Todigan's knowledge and experience, the team is ready to wait out the storm.
Now this is an adventure. Yesterday's shale climb that was almost deadly, and now we're stuck in a blizzard. If you don't live for adventure, you'd cry and go home at this point.
In the calm meadow below, Rick and his guides are settling in for the morning. They will spend the next several hours waiting in hopes of seeing the cow and bull moose they spotted the day before.
So yesterday morning, we were not here where we needed to be. And sure enough, we look out and there's a bull going from west to east, right? And we could tell he had lighter, to me, it looked like he had lighter horns. And then he went this way and disappeared. And hours later in the afternoon, look out, and sure enough, cows with that big bull. Personally, I think that bull is not the same as that same bull. You do? I think it's the same. It's dark. Yeah. You did. It's gonna look. The first bull is a big bull. Yeah. Is it that? There's two big bulls hanging in here. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But there's that one cow, so she's been here since August. So I think that there's a good chance they'll show up again. Yeah.
As the sun warms the morning in the meadow, Rick keeps his eyes open and alert. Meanwhile, Chad continues to wait out a storm on the mountain above.
Probably, it's easily 20. I glassed around the back. I don't know, at that point looked down a little bit. I didn't walk all the way out. Around this way, looked that way and that way. I didn't see any tracks or anything anywhere. Over where we saw the sheep that way before. I was looking at I can't tell if some of the areas were wind blown to grass or something would mosey around in a couple spots there. So we want to maybe put the spotting scope over that direction. Because they could have very easily pushed themselves back over there. That's really the big grassy slope that would have stayed somewhat open because the wind is blowing from that way, keeping the snow off it.
I like that spot. Snow all the way down the valley.
Yep. It's covered everywhere.
Well, we got the jet boil going here. We'll get some breakfast into us and make a plan.
The weather breaks momentarily, allowing Chad and Todd again to get one last look over the surrounding slopes before calling it a night. In the clear skies below, Rick returns from another hunt empty-handed. The team goes to bed hopeful, that a new day will bring better luck.
It's been a long day sitting in this little tent.
Yes. Cabin fever. Not looking forward to sleeping in here tonight. It's gonna be cold as
Hopefully the weather breaks for the morning.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. It's a blizzard.
This segment has been brought to you by Matthews Archery. It's a new day in British Columbia. Rick has spent the last couple of days waiting for moose in the field, and Chad has been snowed in on the mountain above. But the weather is clearing, and Chad is determined to make a move.
Well, the weather's broke. It's still windy and it's really cold, and everything is snow. We're on the very top of the mountain, which is where we expected to find the sheep and the goats moving up in the evenings. But all this weather probably pushed them all the way down into the timber, so I suppose we'll do some glassing, see if we can locate anything down low. And we need to get a weather report because it still doesn't look very good out there, and we don't have enough food to stay up here for 7 days. We only got a few more days worth of food, so if we got another big storm coming in, we got to figure out how to get off the mountain.
While the mountain crew makes a plan to move, Rick and Logan set out across the lake for another day of hunting. The team has high hopes that they will find the moose they spotted a few days before.
We've been sitting most of the day today, and we literally have probably a good 6 hours in. So it's just a waiting game. It's really all you can do when you're hunting moose. You're just waiting for them to come back to the areas that you once saw them, or high percentage area of where they should be, and this meadow's just as good as any. You know, we had a stock that we came in on the boat and the other day, and sure enough, we're pretty much the same area right where they were, so they like this just as much as any other area, so it's just putting in the time. Long days, staying on the binoculars and just listening and just enjoying nature. Pretty much what moose hunting's all about now. So we've been blessed with some great weather, so it's really not that rigorous of a hunt, to say the least. So we're just relaxing, having some good fellowship, and keeping our eyes and ears ready for action.
While Rick and the team anxiously wait, Chad and Todigan prepare to exit their tent after nearly 38 hours of being stuck on the mountain.
Well, this spot's not working out. We're not seeing anything around here. More than likely, all the game moved down into the timber. This storm's been pretty nasty. We're gonna tear up our camp, move down the ridge here further down into the saddle, closer to the timber, and it'll get us out of the wind. We saw a bunch of goats over there, so more than likely they dump down and they'll move their way back up. And some of that timber will give us a little more shelter and potentially find something dry to start a little fire for ourselves, warm up, dry out our feet and our hands. But so at least get us a little closer to the getting out of here if the storm comes back through again here tomorrow. We'll get socked in. But so we're gonna tear it out.
After packing up Spike Camp, Chad and Todigan begin their descent to Tent Camp. Meanwhile, next to the lake, the wait for moose continues. While Logan calls for a moose, there is movement in the distance. A black wolf is spotted eating a carcass across the lake. As the crew develops a plan, the wind suddenly shifts, and the wolf raises its head. If Rick is going to get a shot, he must act quickly.
200.
The wolf is 200 yards away. Rick takes aim. Even under pressure, Rick's aim was true, and his Gunworks rifle performed flawlessly. The wolf is down. Now, he and Logan get in the boat and cross the lake. On the other side, he will lay his hands on the unexpected trophy.
Well, obviously we know that when there's moose involved and caribou and all these other different animals, that there's also predators. And you guys have what, grizzly?
Wolf and grizzly are the main ones. Wolverine. They get quite a few sheep and goat kids.
Well, we're out here hunting moose, obviously, and sure enough, there's a carcass that we had seen, and we knew at any point in time that, he said make sure, there could be a grizzly, there could be a wolf, and my number one concern is, well, I don't want to blow out a moose hunt. And you're like, well, if there's a
The wolves are here, the moose aren't gonna
there's
be
a
sticking
wolf
around
here, and sure enough, a few hours later, we have a couple wolf come in and hammered one.
Even in the trials of cancer, Rick has triumphed once again. While Rick did not expect a wolf to walk through his sights, he has made the most of his circumstances.
That thing is massive.
Good shooting.
Holy cow. Look at the head.
Look at that sucker.
Wow.
Next week on Sheep Shape, Chad fights to get off the mountain and continue his search for stone sheep, while Rick must push through the pains of cancer to stay on the trail of the bull moose he saw on day one. The adventure continues next week on Sheep Shape.